I'm here to talk to you about innovation today, and I would like to start with a little bit of a clarification of something which is normally a confusion, the two terms research and innovation. Research is the conversion of money to knowledge, and innovation is the conversion of knowledge to money. That means that by spending on research we end up with new knowledge, but by spending on innovation we end up with more money. It is frequently overemphasized from a government perspective, the research component. That means we tend to have a lot of supply side tools, grants, tax credits and so on to drive research. The problem with research is that there is no automatic causality between research and innovation. Just because you have good research does not mean you get a lot of innovation. And just because you do a lot of innovation does not mean that you do a lot of research. The problem, of course, from a government perspective is that we need to drive innovation more than we need to drive research. And that requires demand-side tools. And in many places, demand-side tools are not very well used. Demand-side tools include things like innovation driving regulations, things that we tend to see traditionally in places like California when it comes to putting in new requirements for automotive scenarios. Things that we tend to see in Scandinavia when it comes to environmental regulatory things to drive innovation in those areas. The second tool we have is procurement. Buying things that don't exist drives innovation. And one of the best programs in this area is the US SBIR program that has about a 50-year history, where a small percentage of each federal department's budget is dedicated to buying things that don't exist from small companies. This is a very, very strong innovation driver. Studies in Europe, specifically Germany, indicates that the taxpayer gets about a $2 return for each dollar investment when it comes to the use of smart procurement in this way to drive innovation. The third tool we have on the public sector side for driving innovation is structural tools, basically cluster policies of different natures. And the only thing I'd like to say about cluster policies is they're extremely efficient if they are based on capability-based clusters rather than on statistical industry-based clusters. So that's a little bit about the distinction between research and innovation and why the focus needs to be on innovation. When we then go into the corporate world and look at these things, we find that innovation is basically not very well executed. Most studies show that around 10% of companies are very good at innovation. And why is that? Why is 90% not so good at it? And I would say the simplistic answer is that many companies believe that innovation is a kind of a random happening, whereas actually it's a business process. The second reason is that companies, as a consequence of believing that it is a random happening, overemphasize the focus on creativity rather than the focus on the ability to understand business and the component knowledges to generate new insights. So that means that in order to do innovation well, you need to look at it as a business process and you need to manage it like a business process, like any other business process in these type of areas. Now, if you are looking at innovation, it's very important to broaden your mind in terms of what type of innovations exist. And yes, normally we talk about product and process innovations, but it's broader than that. I tend to characterize innovations into three principally different categories. The first one is technology-based innovation. That's what you tend to find when you innovate around new products, new services, and so on. And all studies tend to indicate that the average return on investments in product-based innovations are more or less equal to getting your money back, including the return of the cost of capital. In other words, product-based innovation is normally not a basis of supernatural return. It is just a cost of staying in business. You need to do it, but it only allows you to continue in your business. The second group of innovations is what we tend to call design-based innovation. Design is frequently a misunderstood concept. It is not around fashion and jewelry and stuff like that. Design is actually a systemic, holistic optimization of a system. It trades off in two dimensions. It trades off form with function, and it trades off surface context of use or manufacturing or whatever it may be with deep context. An example, trading off surface context, for example, for a mobile phone could be to be able to make a phone call or send an SMS, And deep context, which could be the ability to do so without having to refer to the instruction manual or having to be trained in how to do it. That means if you achieve a mobile phone which is intuitively usable, where nobody needs to ask about how to do things, you have achieved that trade-off. And we can see the difference, for example, between many mobile phone brands which are made, what I would call, by engineers, for engineers, which requires a lot of training, are very complicated to use, with, for example, the likes of an Apple iPhone, where some people may have views on how sophisticated the technology is or not, but all agree it's incredibly simple to use. So they have been very successful in that aspect of this trade-off. When we look at design-based innovation, what we do find is that it is positively correlated with performance. In other words, companies that are better at using design in the broadest definition in their businesses tend to perform better than those that do not. This is a stronger contribution to profitability than the technology-based innovations. And that, of course, means that it is more important to be able to use design as a complement to technology-based innovation in order to drive up the otherwise somewhat limited profitability of investing in only technology-based innovation. The third group of innovations focus around business models. And business models is kind of a recipe for how to do your business. And it deals with, a set of dimensions. It talks around what is my value proposition, who are my customers and stakeholders, who are my partners, what are my distribution channels, what relationships depth do I want with my customers and suppliers, what is my logic of my business, am I a factory, a problem solver, an intermediary, what is the resource I use to create my competitive advantage, is it brand, is it competence, is it product, or what may it be. It talks about the partnerships that I need to have, it talks around the cost basis that I have, and it talks around my revenue models. And of those, most focus tend naturally to end up on the revenue models. And innovating around your business model turns out to be exceedingly profitable. Basically, the objective is to ensure that you get paid more than once for everything you do. And of course, if you achieve that, you become very, very profitable. And the optimal combination of these things is to involve all three domains of innovation into your innovation activity. So you use technology for some objective or other, you use design for other objectives in the same offering, and you use the business model to ensure maximum return achievements on the two first innovations. And we can see that most businesses are upset the most strongly by firms they have doing the same thing but have changed the business model. Compare Apple in the mobile phone business, compare Ryanair in low-cost air flying. There are a number of examples where the principal issue has been the change of a business model. So the key message here is that if your firm is looking at innovation, as it should do, as a key driver for future earnings and growth, then it is not sufficient to think about innovation solely as a technology concept. You also have to think about innovation as a combined concept between the business model, the design aspect, and the technology aspect of your business. If you do this well, you will perform exceedingly well.